Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking Trim. I'm Jonathan Skinner and today we're looking at the main interior cabin trims for the Jaguar XJ two-door coupe models. So this is strictly for the two-door coupes. There are a couple of crossovers and similarities with the four-door versions, but this is strictly speaking for the two-door coupe. So these are all the main interior cabin items located around the circumference of the interior trim. So we're talking sort of A-Post Footwells, door panels and rear quarter panels and rear parcel shelf. That basically sums up what we've got here. Now all of these items are included as standard in our trim kits, or you can purchase them individually. And when I say individually, I mean in car sets. So for example, the A-Post Footwell panels are sold as a pair, i.e. enough to fit one car out. Same with the door panels, which come with the materials to retrim the pocket armrest elements of things. But easier and cheaper to buy as part of our trim kit, so just bear that in mind. So let's start at the very front. We've got the A-Post Footwell panels. You obviously get a pair of them. They're on our made out of a millboard, cut on our in-house CNC machine, and then they are creased to allow bending in the car. This is the right-hand one, so it's up on the vertical there. That sort of ridge there goes around the sill area, the step into the car. Pair of those, as you can see, trimmed all the way around. Then moving on to the main door panels. So these are sold as a pair, i.e. front right and front left, and then all the associated materials to retrim the armrest pocket set and the door top area there. Now I've only laid out one hand of the retrim materials, but I've laid out both hands of the actual panels themselves, purely because I've run out of space on the width of the machine that I'm stood on. So these have been done in biscuit vinyl, by the way. So the interior door panels originally left the factory in vinyl. We can also do in leather if you prefer. As you can see, they're all cut and trimmed onto hardboard panels, cut on our in-house CNC machine. You have all the associated fixings around the outside, as well as the pilot holes for various other pieces around the car, including the chrome works. There's a strip of chrome that attaches to the front around that sort of section there, as you can see. And we've got the cutaway there for the speakers. Not all the cars left with speakers, and it's worth noting as well that normally a piece of carpet or moquette in this case was trimmed over the top of there. We haven't trimmed it to this specific one, as the customer didn't let us know what they were planning on doing at their end with the carpet and moquette. I don't think they've made their mind up, so we said, okay, well, we'll just send the moquette loose. It's an easy enough job for them to trim into place if they need be. Let's just have a look at a book at this panel here. Now bear in mind, the panel shown in this book does not feature the HF weld pattern as per ours. Some cars did not leave the factory with the HF weld, but we do have the tooling, and the majority of the kits that we do feature that. Obviously let us know if you don't need it. But yeah, we're talking about effectively this speaker area here. You can see it on the other versions of the car as well, where it's clearly a sort of carpeted material. These are the four-door versions, but extremely similar in the principle of them there. Now moving on to the HF weld, one of the only companies in the world that can offer this replica as the original weld pattern there. They're then trimmed all the way around, apart from this top edge here, which does have a loose flap. We do that intentionally, as that means there's a piece of chrome work normally goes across the top of the door there, as you can see. So you basically tuck this material underneath, and then the capping on the top, which is what that material there is for, basically allows for a nice seamless finish between the panels there. So that's all done by design and intentional. You get this sewn and top stitch a scutching area for in here, which is effectively where the door release is on these cars here. So that's all stitched and supplied. And then you get the loose materials for the armrest pocket, which is this section here. Now bear in mind, this outer piece here we actually make bigger than you need to make it nice and easy to trim, but then the inside one there is cut to a much more logical shape and size to allow for the trimming in there. We supply the inside as standard in the wall cloth material. Standardly from the factory they used a kind of cheap nylon, but we upgrade to wall cloth as standard. Then you get a shaped piece of material here, which is for this sort of diagonal armrest up here. Again, it's a bit of a strange shape and size, but when you come to trim it, it becomes a lot more logical. So that's your door panels, front door panels. Then moving on to the rear of the car, where the rear seats are. These are the rear quarter panels, effectively where the rear doors would be if it was a 4-door car, but it's not, it's a 2-door car. Now unfortunately the book I'm using here doesn't have a very good view of them, but we're talking about this section here basically. Very similar principle to the front doors. They are hardboard panels. It actually has an element of millboard riveted onto the back, which allows it to bend around the B-post element there, as you can see. All the necessary fixing holes as per the front doors. Same principle on the trimming on the top edge there. We do leave a flap intentionally to allow for the capping. Obviously you have the material for the capping there. It has the cutaways, it has the HF weld as well. Put a bit of dust on there, a bit of fluff. Yeah, so it has the HF weld in there as standard. Like I say, not all the cars left with it. Then you have the cutaways here and here. I believe this one here is for the seatbelt element, whereas this one here is for an ashtray, I believe. And then again, you get all the loose materials and piping for the sort of armrest and pockets. So that does the main element of the pocket outer. The piping kind of sits around there. Same principle as on the front doors. I think I overlooked that on the front doors piping. This is for the kind of arm handle that goes diagonal above it. You get the lining for the inside of it as per the front doors. And then this here is for the kind of dead space area effectively here. So the backing almost to the pocket section there. So we supply material there, all cut to a basic shape. Some are oversized intentionally to allow for easier fitment. Then finally, rear parcel shelf. Now the rear parcel shelf obviously sits below the rear window area. Not sure I've got a much better image than that, I'm afraid. Oh yeah, there we are. So rear parcel shelf. Now it's worth noting that for some cars, in fact a decent amount of cars, these left the factory in black vinyl. We can obviously do that if you wish. We've done this in biscuit to match the rest of the trim at the request of the customer. It has the cutaway in the middle there, which I believe is for a speaker. It's a kind of a raised section there, which we have the separate panel for there. As with all of our other panels, it's hardboard, cut on our in-house CNC, all the logical pilot holes and fixing holes, etc. needed. And again, that's just there. They are padded, foam padded as well. So yeah, and that's obviously sold as part of our trim kit as a 2-piece element or individually as that 2-piece set there for the car. So just bear that in mind. But yeah, that pretty much covers it, I think, for the main cockpit cabin areas. It's the sort of circumference panels, as it were. It doesn't include anything to do with the boot trunk area, and also anything kind of the center console. That's all sold as a separate item, and see our separate video for that. That being said, I think I've covered my bases. Please remember to like, subscribe and share with other classic car enthusiasts, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.